just want to reiterate the mission that I have here is basically to educate all of us to be healthier. We're going to talk about dietary supplements. However, our main emphasis is that we should try to get it through our food. So the FDA happens to be the government institution that slightly oversees our supplement supply, I guess would be the word. They separated the way supplements are regulated from the way over-the-counter drugs and pharmaceuticals are regulated, okay? So for over-the-counter and pharmaceutical drugs, you need to prove safety and efficacy before they're sold. For supplements, there's no requirement like that.
Heroin, cocaine, opium, cannabis, alcohol, okay? Those were all commonly doled out and taken. And in 1906, the FDA said, you know, we need to know what's on the label. So it's okay to have all of those things in your Coca-Cola, but it needs to say cocaine on the label. So for the first time, there was some truth in advertising around all of these things. And the whole notion about knowing what's inside what you're taking as a non-medication is still a kind of an open question, back to that New York study. This is really an unregulated space.
If you find that your iron stores are low, you don't just go and take an iron supplement or just flippantly go to wherever and buy iron and start taking it. You need to evaluate why you would have an iron deficiency anemia, which is what I had. And I had a whole GI workup and thankfully it was negative, and then I can take iron.
So omega-3 deficiency is counted as the 8th leading cause of preventable death in the U.S. They say today that the standard American diet is about 25 to 1. So 25 omega-6s to only 1 omega-3. And having more omega-6s is very inflammatory. So the omega-3 fish are salmon, the top ones are salmon, sardines, mackerel, and herring. We all know that farm salmon is a big now, because everybody wants to eat salmon because it's so healthy, right? Well, farm-raised salmon is not wild salmon.
Is it proven that the wild salmon have more omega-3s?
Yeah.
Like a lot more?
Oh, yeah.
We achieve our peak bone density at around age 30, and everything after that as we age, it slowly kind of decreases in density over time.
Being a very small person, and I think about taking this much calcium a day, let's say I have, 4 servings of milk, that's a lot of calories.
But the one thing I would say is that it doesn't all need to be dairy. So you can go for the vegetables that are high in content too. So let's go to vitamin D really quickly. With the sun, our skin actually synthesizes our own vitamin D. Dark skin tends to prohibit as much synthesis. So we think that lighter skinned people who are getting good sunshine should have adequate synthesis to keep their levels in the recommended range. But I can say in practice, we find that that's just not true. It's so variable. And so really I'd say go get your level checked. There's not great data on what level it should come back at either. But we see that less than 20 and it tends to have effects on bones. So we see more fracture and more osteoporosis. I think my other main point about vitamin D was really please do wear sunscreen.
Okay, so turmeric and its active agent curcumin. This is probably my favorite plant. It's traditionally from the country of India, where they eat this all day long. In India, there is historically the lowest rate of cancer and of neurological brain disease. I'm going to talk briefly about vitamin B12. 40% of Americans between 25 and 50 are deficient. Now, who's at risk for low vitamin B12? It's oftentimes people who are on medications. And I've listed some of them here. I would say one of the big ones are these proton pump inhibitors, Nexium, Prilosec. And there's a huge percentage of Americans on these kinds of medicines. And so you really do want to have a baseline B12 checked. You also want to check your magnesium when you're taking proton pump inhibitors.
A lot of times the recommendation is, for insurance purposes, take a multivitamin. You might not be getting it in your diet. The truth is, if you have a varied diet and you live a pretty healthy lifestyle with exercise and good sleep, you probably don't need a multivitamin. I personally do not take one.
So I would come back to, if you eat food that your grandmother would recognize, do some of the other things where we know there's huge benefit, moderate exercise, huge benefit, meditation actually, huge benefit, Those are much more powerful influencers of your long-term health, and I don't take a multivitamin.
For some people, maybe a multivitamin, but I would really lean towards a food-based multivitamin because those are forms that your body will recognize. So if you don't need something, it will get rid of it. It will not get rid of vitamin A, D, E, or K because those are fat soluble, but it will get rid of the other things. I do want to caution you against taking something like Centrum. I printed out the ingredient list, and you would be better off throwing it in the trash.
So I also don't take a multivitamin, and my generic response has always been, well, we don't have great studies to show that it's effective to combine all these vitamins and take it daily, that's really helping us much, but it's probably not harmful, and I'm reevaluating that probably not harmful statement because I think things like Centrum, which have things that are in it and not on the ingredient list, or even on the ingredient list that are questionable, perhaps it is harmful to take something if it's not from the right place.
And my thought is that multivitamins are very complicated. Each brand has different vitamins and minerals that they include in different amounts. And going into a Whole Foods or Pharmaca and looking at multivitamins, if you're really reading the labels, it will take you hours to try and sort out. And what might be, components of it may be good for one person, but not for another person.
So again, I think when we summarize, trying to keep this practical for all of us will be really important. So I don't want you all to leave here going, oh my God, I'm going to Jack in the Box.